can only hope that by making this grassroots personal story of my own experience, that the ministry of truth shall be generous and not shadow ban this message. Where did the 2020 coronavirus originate from? That may surprise you. I'll give you a little hint. It did not, I repeat, it did not originate in China. You are looking at Chinese authorities putting what quite possibly could be patient zero onto an ambulance. He is wrapped up tight in a plastic cocoon. Now you might ask yourself, how did patient zero get to China if the virus did not originate in China? Well, that would be easy. Sadly, there is a 4 to 14 day incubation period when the attacking agents of the virus lay dormant. So, as many of you already know, I have lived in Las Vegas for over 3 decades. I have grown to learn the great propensity that the Chinese and the Asians have to gamble. In fact, I am married to a Chinese person who gambles. She has been bedridden and afflicted with the coronavirus for the last 6 or 7 days. Let me tell you, it is a brutal, cold virus. My research has led me to believe that the bioengineered mutated form of this coronavirus originated in the California Chinese communities. It spread simultaneously to Las Vegas, Seattle, Canada, and New York Chinese communities. This original coronavirus, the first one, it was a weakened form of the virus. Remember, the coronavirus is the cold virus. There are about 7 known variations to infect humans. Now, we have no idea how many of the bioengineered versions are in the cryo fridge laboratory. This is top secret, strictly on a need-to-know basis, and even the President of the United States does not have that need to know. But he can and will greenlight operations. He can also veto the operations. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I must reiterate, my research is strictly on a grassroots, ground-level operation. So let's get back to my wife, who has been bedridden for 7 days and counting. She has been able to call many of her friends throughout the country. Many Americans may not know how close-knit the Chinese communities are, not just in Las Vegas, but they're connected to LA, San Francisco, Seattle, the Vietnamese Chinatown. I mean, they have friends everywhere, and they're constantly talking to each other. So since she's been in the bed, she's been in contact with many of her friends from Seattle, LA. I can tell you for a fact, and this is what is a big problem with social media to the deep state and the authorities. The problem with social media is it allows me to tell you the truth in real time, and this literally destroys the deep state 666 gang's narrative of lies. Okay, so she's been in contact with her friends. Everyone is sick. Everyone knows somebody who is sick. But here's the thing, the LA people are starting to get better now. So it is clear to me that the first people who were in contact with the virus were in the LA, San Francisco region. The virus would have been unleashed in LA Chinatown and San Francisco Chinatown on the same day. Now, the Las Vegas people, and I've talked to the pharmacies, I've talked to everybody I can, trust me, it is literally out of control. They're running out of medicine. That's how bad it is. When I went to the pharmacy today to get medicine, the girl actually told me they are running out of the medicine. Everybody is sick in Las Vegas. Well, we're talking about the Chinese community, of course. We are in the heart of the storm in Las Vegas. It has spread everywhere with a vengeance. Okay? But the thing is, it's getting stronger. From what I can tell, the virus is mutating, getting stronger and stronger. And that will lead us to China. See, if it started in LA, if the bioengineered virus was released in San Francisco and it mutates, and every time it goes on to the next host or victim, it gets stronger and stronger, well, it would be common sense. By the time it reached China, it would be one serious monster. This is the way it was designed. It's working perfectly. Okay, why do I bring up the gambling aspect of this? Las Vegas is very important in the Asian community because of our casinos. If you were going to unleash a virus in LA and San Francisco, they all come to Las Vegas, especially before they head to Seattle or before they go to a big casino back east or before they were going to China. Yes, I guarantee you that every Chinese person who is either coming or leaving America is going to stop in Las Vegas and get their fix of gambling in before their destination. The problem with this cold virus, as I've mentioned already, it has a long dormant stage where the army of agents in the virus, they stay dormant, incubation period, for up 4 to 14 days. This gives the host or the traveler many, many days to go from LA to Las Vegas to Seattle and finally on to China. When the person gets to China, the virus has literally arrived at its destination point. What do I mean by that? Remember, this virus has been designed to attack a certain DNA. We are talking bioengineered here. Once it's traveled the path that they all knew it would travel, and once it gets to the sweet point where everybody, we're talking millions and millions and millions of people, have the same DNA that this virus is attracted to, which has been designed and built to attack, well, now you have a monster that has been unleashed. I swear to God, if you think about this, it's mind-boggling. Before I leave you with part 2, what's all this about Las Vegas? Well, if you're going to play poker, there's nothing dirtier in the casinos than those poker chips. Think about it. There is absolutely nothing dirtier than those poker chips, except for maybe the money. The money's dirty. And also, if you're playing the slot machines, the poker machines. My wife was on a run in a local casino that caters to the Asians, and that's where she caught the coronavirus, in this local casino that caters to Asians. And it was like 4 or 5 days later. It was like an incubation and dormant stage, and like 5 days after her run in the casino where she won lots of money, she was playing on the video poker machines and got it off of the little buttons. But you can catch it off of anything. But when you're talking about the poker tables, it's those chips and the money. And then you're in close proximity to the other players who are coughing and hawking and spitting. Yes, Las Vegas is a dangerous place to catch the virus. I should know. My wife has been bedridden with it with 7 days and counting. Meaning, let me explain something to you. She's no better today than 7 days ago. That's what we're going to go into later, and I'm not sure what part it is, part 3 or part 4. Remember, you are listening to part 2 of a 6.66 part series. So when you go to the poker table, remember that those poker chips are not cleaned. I repeat, they're never cleaned, those poker chips. How long can the coronavirus last on those chips? Well, it's probably best to wait a while before you start playing poker and handling those chips. And do you really want to go to play poker with a mask on and rubber gloves on? Because it's not going to really protect you. The mask is not going to protect you. The rubber gloves may help you. But maybe it's time to go to the beach and sit in the sun for a while. Welcome back to part 3 of this 6.66 part series on the coronavirus. Here we're going to talk about the rapid mutation of the virus. This is probably the biggest and most important evidence that it was bioengineered. But before we go any further, I want to stress this fact. If you're young especially if you're young and beautiful and healthy, I don't think you really have anything to fear from this virus, even if you catch it. Your body's immune system is going to fight it. And as long as you are bedridden and keep liquids and the fluids going and you do not get dehydrated, you're going to be okay as long as you're young. And being beautiful helps. But if you're old and sick and overweight and diabetes, and I'll go down the list, then you really do have something to worry about. It's sort of like the survival of the fittest, is it not? And at this point, I really do hate to bring up this old story, but it does so beautifully illustrate what humans are capable of doing if they want something. For example, when the European Caucasian humans came to North America, they wanted something. They wanted all the beautiful land there. Unfortunately, there were some Native Americans here that we call the Indians. And you've heard the story. It was winter. Winter time was approaching. And there have been a lot of Indian wars. The Caucasians and the Indians have been fighting for a long time, but occasionally there were peace treaties. And and then sometimes the Caucasians and the Europeans would act nice. They say, "Oh, here, Indians, here, we got these beautiful army blankets for you." And you know the old story. They put smallpox and other diseases on these blankets that they knew that the Indians were prone to. The Indians did not have any immunity to these viruses, and they sprinkled the virus all over the damn blankets, and it's getting wintertime, and they say, here's some beautiful, nice, warm blankets to keep you warm during the winter in your teepee. By the end of the winter, the viruses damn near exterminated the Indians. Now, we know that history, or actually the human life, the yin and yang cycle, does not go linear. It goes in circles. Spring, summer, fall, and winter. And we keep on going on these circular cycles over and over and over. So if you think that they're not capable of doing this, now think about this. Do you think that any of these big countries like Russia, China, Israel's not big, but they have that weapon called the nuclear bomb, as we do. Do you think any of these countries really want to drop the nuclear bomb or use? No, because once you use the nuclear bomb, it's over. Life is gone. So there's really only one way to go at this point, and you are living it. It is right smack in your face. We are living it. It's called the bioengineered weapon. This time it came from our side. And do you think it's a coincidence that the President of the United States is being impeached as we speak? Impeached? Oh, it's a coincidence that this virus has attacked China and everybody's being scared to death. It's all through the news. This is all one big coincidence. Bullshit. There ain't no coincidence. Trust me. There just ain't no coincidences in this world. So the fact of the matter is, this virus is mutating at an alarming pace. It's not operating like the normal cold virus. And we'll get onto that in part 4. In part 4 of this series, we are going to talk about the normal cold virus and the super corona cold virus. Okay, totally two different animals, but the coronavirus, the bioengineered form, it's based off of the original cold virus. It just has a few little modifications. So this coronavirus is rapidly mutating, and we have evidence of that from the people in LA who are now recovering. Some of them have already recovered. Some of them recovered weeks ago. And it was a minor form of what's in China today because it did not have time to mutate. And we'll also go over in part 5 how the American version, the victims and the host do not have a fever. But it's clear to me, in my investigation, that this virus is rapidly mutating, and the one over there in China is a serious monster only because it was designed to attack the certain DNA of the Chinese people. And it's sad that, when it comes to the military and weapons. Like, this is where we're going today. This is just a sad reality that we have to face today. You have been listening to part 3 of a 6.66 part series on the coronavirus. Well, welcome back to part 4, and congratulations if there's any CNN or Fox viewers out there and you've made it this far, because I am not that pretty face lying to you, and I'm only here to tell you the truth. My word of mouth research is ground level, true in reality, as we speak intel. And as I've said before, most Americans don't know about the Chinese American community having close knit contact and close ties between each other, from communities between like LA, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Canada, Seattle, blah, blah, blah. It is the truth. So word has been spreading pretty quickly about this cold virus that has taken down the Chinese American communities around the country. But if you've been listening and paying attention up to this point, you've gotten the idea that the original virus that started in California is not quite as strong as the one in China. We are speculating that it started in LA and San Francisco, and as it mutated through Las Vegas, Seattle, making its way to China, it just built up power by mutating, giving it more strength. Okay, for example, let me give you a personal story here. My wife, I met her at the Showboat Casino in 1987. A long time ago, I know. We got married in 94. We got divorced in 2001. And we have now been together for 33 years. Okay? I've seen her get colds and flus every year now for over 3 decades. And she's usually only down for about 3 days. 3 days max. This is like clockwork almost every year, because she also works in the casino, and the casinos have these cold viruses, they have these flu viruses. We have people coming in from all over the country, all over the world. When you work in the casinos, you catch these viruses year in, year out. Happened to me for many, many years until I gave up the casino business. Or maybe the casinos gave me up. We don't know anyhow. Every year she catches these viruses, colds and flus. And every year she's down for about 2 days, 3 max. Like I said, it's like clockwork. This is your normal cold virus. This is your normal flu virus. Okay, right here. But this coronavirus is something totally, totally different. Number one, we've already talked about it, the incubation period, where the soldiers lie dormant, okay, for what, 4 to 14 days. They're waiting. The agents are waiting to release its soldiers. And now once the coronavirus releases its army of soldiers, they are relentless. But the problem is, you could be walking around for 2 weeks. You could be walking around in LA, Las Vegas, Seattle, even the Philippines. Before you make it to China, you could be walking around like you're fine. And then boom, this leads us to think for sure that it is bioengineered. They do not stand down easily. Once these army of soldiers are released, they are difficult. They don't stand down easy. Like I've said, normally my wife is up and at 'em after 3 days. 7 days. Now we're talking 7 days. She's had the virus for 7 days and not getting any better. Same condition. We went to the doctor a couple days ago. And what happened is you develop respiratory issues, a bacteria. If you get a bacteria infection, respiratory, then they will give you antibiotics and they'll give you a stronger cough medicine. As I said, in Las Vegas, they're actually running out of the medicine in Las Vegas. That's how many people are afflicted. Has CNN told you this? Has Fox News told you this? No, I am telling you ground level, grassroots intel. It is scary. The good part is that I believe that this coronavirus that's affecting LA, Las Vegas, San Francisco, Seattle. I believe it's a lesser version, not as strong, because my theory on it is it hasn't had time to mutate. By the time it makes it to China, after going through various cities, sometimes you go through the Philippines, you go through Vietnam or wherever, by the time it's mutated over there, it's getting stronger and stronger. And even the doctors will tell you that this virus is mutating and it is getting stronger and stronger. You have been listening to part 4 of this 6.66 part series on the coronavirus 2020. Coming up next on the Bravo Alternative Media channel, part 5, we will discuss how the Chinese use lemon tea home remedy type of liquid to fight the virus. We will also go on to how the American version, the original American version of the coronavirus, the host or the victim has no fever. And then finally, we will have part 6.66. That will be on the Bravo Vomula channel, and that will be the full, complete story of the coronavirus. Stay tuned.